Hey crafters, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Christmas Comforts card. I've got all my pieces here cut out in front of me. It is officially Christmas in July, and as I mentioned in our group this morning, I was really excited to come out to the studio today to get started on, well, projects for my favorite holidays, Christmas included. Obviously, we've got Halloween stuff coming up soon as well. Let's start off by taking a look at the base. Okay, so it's going to cut out like this, and your machine's going to cut everything that it needs to. It's going to score everything that it needs to. These two folds right here are going to be mountain folds, so you want to just fold them up. It's going to take, you want to be patient here and just take your time. What I did was I folded each side one at a time, here and here. Then I folded this as a mountain fold as well. And then you have two valley folds here. And then there's another mountain fold here. So ultimately, it's going to fold like this. Okay, so just take your time and fold each of the little score sections as indicated. Okay, and it's going to sit like this. But we don't need this just yet. We're actually going to put together all of the individual pieces and then glue them onto the base, okay? So the way this works is there are, and what I want you to do is lay these out accordingly, okay? So we have the center, which is the door, okay? And there's a little wreath, which requires that piece and the two little bows, okay? There's one window. And what you'll notice is that we do have little individual shutters for the windows here. And there are, let me just point this out here. So let's talk about the shutters real quick. These are the longest, these are the second longest, and then these are the smallest. So small, small, long, long, middle, okay, medium. So you want to organize those accordingly. Okay, we'll go through that in a second here. So again, these shutters here are going to be the medium-sized one. This is the center of the house. We're going to start with that. Okay, so the first thing we're actually going to do is put our vellum in place just to get it out of the way. So let's grab our card base and find all of our vellum pieces. Now there's obviously one that's a little bit larger than the rest. Okay, and then most of these are kind of interchangeable, if you will. Okay, so we've got that one. Let's just start with that one and just start getting it in place. I'm just going to use a series of little dots around the perimeter and just pop that in place because this card kind of doubles as a luminary as well. Of course, we can't just make a plain old card. You got to get fancy. Okay, and then you'll have two that are a little bit taller, two that are a little bit shorter, and one that's a little bit wider. The wider one is going to go above the door. So let's go ahead and get our glue going there. I feel like I haven't held a glue bottle in like 3 weeks, which I actually haven't. So I need to kind of get back into the swing of things here. Hopefully you guys had a nice 4th of July, maybe did a little vacationing, whatever it was. Hope you enjoyed it, had some time off, and as much as I hate to think that, and I know summer just started, but it's kind of a weird thing. It's like when the days start to get shorter, time speeds up, it seems. Okay, so that's going to go there. We'll get a long piece of vellum here for the bottom window. And just put a little bit of glue around the window. I wouldn't worry about putting it on the inside part. As long as you get it on the outside, I think you're in good shape. Pop that down. Don't lose any pieces in the process. I think this card out of the batch is going to be that card that you make maybe one or two of I don't think you're going to mass produce this one. We've got a few. There's 2 cards in the bundle that I do think you can mass produce. One, especially because it's super simple. You guys have told us that you like them because they're quick to cut, quick to assemble, quick to mass produce. This one, I think this is the one that you bring to wherever you're going for the holidays and hand deliver because it is extra special. That way you could bring a tea light with you. Okay, so the vellum's in place. We'll leave that off to the side for now. And let's start with the center of the house here. Okay, so that's this piece here, and it's the largest. We're then going to need to take this piece, and you'll see that there's already a window with some shutters built into it. You want to fold those over to make them dimensional. And we're going to put this piece down. So go ahead and begin applying your glue. Focus it on the main parts of it. I wouldn't worry about getting any glue on the little details that are cut out. They're not going to go anywhere. Definitely get a little bit around the window, but don't put any on the shutters because we want those to swing freely. I'm going to pop that right into place onto the shadow layer. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could run this turquoise or sea, I think it's sea foam or sea mist color through an embossing machine. I think you could if you wanted to. Okay, get that lined up. Press it down. There we go. And we added 2 additional layers for the windows to give them a little bit of a dimensional feel. So go ahead and pop those into place. They're literally going to go right over the existing little window there. Okay, and then do the same thing with the next one. Just pop that right on top of the other one. And that's a good way of making things dimensional without having to create anything super crazy as far as assembly goes. Okay, and then the little shutters here, you'll notice that one side is a little bit thinner than the other. Okay, and we want the thinner side on the inside of the window. So you can see that this vertical line here is a little bit shorter on one side than it is the other. We want that facing in towards the window. Just put a few tiny little drops of glue on that. Don't need to get crazy with it. And just line that up with the white piece. And pop that into place. Got some beautiful little shutters there. Now with pieces this small, I wouldn't even worry about trying to ink it. I don't think it's going to show up very much. Just leave it as is. Save you some time as well. And pop that one into place. There we go. That looks nice. All right, so next what we're going to do is we have 3 pieces that are going to go on like this, with the first piece being, in my case, I have a gold foil. Okay, so we're going to glue that down first. And again, don't worry about those little details. If you want to try to get a little bit of glue on them, that's fine. Maybe just a little dot here or there. Nothing crazy. And just pop that right into place. And since only a little bit of it is showing through, I'm comfortable getting my fingerprints on there. But if you don't want to get fingerprints on it, flip it over and push down from the other side. Next, we're going to take this layer and get this glued down. Nice and easy. And that is going to go right here, like so. Now I'm gluing cardstock to foil, which you know could be a little slippery, so take your time. Make sure that you get it in the right spots and that it doesn't jiggle around on you. And we'll finish it off with a beautiful white glitter that I just very quickly brushed with a little bit of turquoise ink, just to give it a little bit of extra color, and just match that up like so. Got a little snow drift on the roof. It's been snowing a lot here, wherever this is. It's almost, I think it's kind of like a New England style home. Very appropriate for Christmas time. And then there's a little snow drift that goes on the chimney as well. Okay, we'll pop that right at the top, like so. There we go. Okay, so this part is pretty much done. And if we want to, which we may as well, we can go ahead and get it attached to our card. And this is going to get glued. Well, obviously you want to match this up with the window and the door, like so. Okay, so we can take and we'll want to, obviously you do not want to put glue past this point here. Okay, so you can kind of take a look at the back of it and see where you need to stop. And you don't want to put any glue there either. So I'm going to remove this. And you can see exactly where we need to put the glue. A little bit right there. And right there. And let's pop this in place. Most important thing here is just to match up the windows so that when we do put a light in there, it shines through correctly. Make sure it's nice and straight. And press that down into place. There we go. Watch your little shutters. Don't tear them. There we go. Okay, so the center of the house is almost there. All right, let's also put together the dimensional part of the front of the house. So there's like two parts to it. Okay, and we're going to start off with this piece here. And we need to build the door because that actually gets glued on flat as well. Okay, we're going to take this gold foil piece and that's going to go on first. So go ahead and apply your glue. You might be using, instead of gold foil, might be using like a, well, I don't know, maybe a yellow or some other color depending on your entire color scheme that you're going with. Get that lined up, make sure it's nice and straight. Press that down. And then we're going to have a white overlay on top of that. So just a little bit of that gold shows through. So go easy on the glue here. Especially because we're putting it on gold foil. We do not want to blemish that beautiful foil. And that's going to go on so that just a little bit of that gold is showing through the center. Just like that. And just be patient if you're putting this on foil to not move it around too much. Let it set because it is a little slippery. Okay, and we have a little wreath that we're going to put on there as well. And with the wreath, we've got a dimensional bow. There's a second layer that goes on top. Again, it's probably too small to ink. You can try. I'm not going to worry about it just because I know that sometimes it's not worth the effort because you don't really see too much, but it is nice to add that second little layer there. Okay, and then you can see the appearance of, well, I guess part of the shadow or part of the structure of the bow is there on the green part of the wreath. And you just want to line that up. Just like that. Okay. And you can put that down flat, or if you want to grab some foam squares at this point to give this a little bit of dimension, you can do that. I would. And for something this small, I'd probably take and just trim some foam squares so that they fit I cut one into about 1/3 of its normal size. We'll get one there. And maybe just stick one on the bottom. Now I have a foam square that is kind of dangling there, but once we attach this to this part, we can actually push that up against the house. Okay, so we have this piece. We can go ahead and apply our glue. This is going to go flat onto the existing part that we already glued to the main structure of the card. Excuse me. And that's going to go like that. Just line that up as accurately as you can. There we go. You can see a little bit of that roof goes over the window, the bottom part of the window. And now you can push the rest of that wreath up against the door. Okay, looks pretty good. All right, now let's finish this off. And we're actually going to take and glue 2 of these layers together because we're going to foam square this as well to give this a little more dimension. So we need to glue 2 back to back, or right on top of each other, not back to back. I want my texture side out as much as possible. Just like that. I'm just doubling it up, making it nice and sturdy. There we go, push that down. And then we're going to take our gold layer, and that's going to go on next. So you can see how this card's pretty straightforward, just a little bit of paper piecing involved, but you know, sometimes that's what it takes. There it is. I'm going to flip this one over and push from the other side. There we go. Press that into place. Beautiful. Now we'll take our vermilion color and pop that into place on top of the foil. And then finish that off with a little bit of glitter. I just did a podcast with Michelle from 12 by 12 cardstock, and we were talking about how sometimes you get cards and I hate to say it, but you don't keep them. They end up in the trash. I have a feeling that cards that people get that you make from Dreaming Tree do not end up in the trash. I could be wrong, but something tells me I'm not. Okay, and then we have this little tiny gold piece. It's just going to go right at the bottom. Finish that off. Watch your fingerprints. Just get it lined up and then flip it over, push from the other side. There we go. Okay, so this is going to go right here, and so that we can add a little bit of dimension to it, we're going to take and flip this over. I'm going to apply some foam squares. I'll put one there, put one there, put one here, and then we are going to need at least a few down at the bottom. So I would definitely take and just kind of cut a couple more thin foam squares. I'll grab the whole thing on accident. Yeah, probably just 2, 1 on each end. There's 1, there's 2, peel that off. If you want, you could maybe put some on the vertical supports for the front, but I don't think it's necessary. Okay, and there's that. And that is going to go right on here like so. Make sure you get that nice and aligned. There we go. And there it is. All right, so the front of our beautiful little house is done. Now, let's move on over to one of the sides. I've got the, well, let's do the left side. Okay. So here is the left side. And we're going to start off by putting the white layer on first. Okay, so let's flip that over. And then, of course, the right side is basically the same process, except that it's mirrored, because it is pretty much symmetrical. Actually, I think it's exactly symmetrical. Okay. I'm going to align this little half triangle here in the center. Then get the top aligned, and then this little strip here. Perfect. Press that down. That looks nice. Okay. Now for the center part, we have our vermilion color that's going to go on top first. Right here. Just line that up. And going back to the podcast that I just filmed with Michelle over at 12 by 12, she was kind of showcasing a few of the new paper lines that they just got in for Halloween and Christmas. And I guess pinks and, well, like a turquoisey color like this has kind of infiltrated both, well, especially Halloween. I know turquoise and this shade of red has been part of, you know, Christmas stuff for quite some time, but it's just interesting that pink has infiltrated Halloween and turquoise. She really loves it. I'm not a big fan of it personally. All right, we're going to put the gold foil layer on next. Just kind of layering things up, creating some nice little details. I'll flip that over and push from the other side. Okay. And then next, we're going to grab the vermilion piece. And just a little bit of that red popping through on the roof line. Make sure you grab the right one. There we go. Line that up. Beautiful. Whoops, see what I mean? When you're dealing with the foil, it's super slippery. It's like it's got nothing to grab onto, so just be patient. There we go. Then grab your glitter. I've got some wispies on there from when I inked. Pull those off. Okay, and that's going to go right on there. And then we just have a few little windows to assemble. And then this part's done, and really that's all there is to it. We've got one more side to put together, and then of course we have the main front of the card. That's just a simple layering piece. Okay, there we go. And let's take a look, and you can see here the bottom window. I've already folded the little shutters in. Again, don't put any glue on those because we want them to, I guess you could glue them down if you want them wide open. I'm not going to do that though. I want there to be some additional dimension to this card. Line that up as accurately as you can. Press down. There we go. Let's get the second and third layer on there. Let me clean off my nozzle here. But yeah, like I said, this one is going to be, this is one of those cards that you're going to do a one-off of, maybe two, depending on who it is in your family you want to send it to. But I thought it was awesome. Really cool looking card. Okay, don't forget there's two additional layers to put on there. Okay. I'm back in the zone, baby. All right, and then we've got the smaller one, and you can see the design on the window is a little bit different for each window, so there's shouldn't be any confusion as to what goes where. All pretty self-explanatory. And that's going on right onto the base here, the main structure, and then find your second and third overlay for that. There we go. Then we just have to put our little shutters in place. The bottom one has a little ledge as well, and that's going to be your little green piece that looks like that. And let's see, did I lose another piece here? Probably. Let's see if it shows up. Let's get this one in place. Just a few little dots, and then just pop that right on top of the previous layer. Get a nice dimensional look. There we go. Okay, let's grab our little ledge. That's going to go right here at the bottom. You can see how that window sort of extends down a little bit more than the others. Pop that right into place. Make sure it's nice and straight. Here we go. Okay, and shutters, shutters. Where's my shutters? Did I drop a shutter too? Probably. Okay, I need one more large one. Let's check the floor. There it is. Of course. I don't even know how that happened. Okay, now remember again, there's one side that's a little bit skinnier that's going to be facing in towards the main window. And this is the longer shutter. Hey Siri, stop. And that one's going to go here. Okay, onto the next little shutter here. Got a couple more shutters and then this side's done. And then we'll just run through the same process again for the other side. And we're more than halfway home. So hopefully you've enjoyed this process thus far. And the cool thing about these cards, all of them actually, is that there's really not that many colors that we used. Kind of kept it relatively simple. And I'm working with Michelle over at 12 by 12 to put together some card kits for these so that you can just grab all the paper you need. Hopefully we'll have them available early next week if all goes well. There we go. And the last one, just make sure you get that. They almost look the same, but there is one side that's a little bit thinner. If you don't get it right, it's not the end of the world, I don't think. It'll still look nice. And just line that up. There we go. Okay, there's our beautiful little shutters. And this one is going to go on this side here. So we just need to match that up. Take a look back here to help you kind of decide and figure out where not to put glue. This is going to be flush with the bottom, okay? So I think as long as you just kind of keep it to about here, you're in good shape. And we don't need to put any sticking out there because that's just going to be kind of free floating. Okay, line that up with the cutouts for the vellum. Make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. And then you can take this and just kind of, whoops, mine really moved on me. Quit doing that. There we go. And then just press that down. Make sure it's nice and straight. And it is. Looks good. There we go. Okay, so you see what we've got here so far. Looking sharp. And let's head over to the right side of the house. Same thing. Very simple. Okay, start again with the white piece. So as I mentioned, the other two cards in this bundle are probably going to take half the time, if not less, to assemble, since they have way fewer pieces. And one of the cards features some little paintings that are print and cut elements. I think you guys are going to like that. It's something different I wanted to try. And like I said, the assembly is going to go a lot quicker. We have like a filigree Christmas tree. Almost looks like it's lace. And that one for sure goes together super quick. Like super quick. I think it's like 3 pieces. So it'll be super easy to mass produce. Okay, let's get our little glitter on there. Yeah, we, as usual, went up north to, this time, the Three Lakes area, which is very close to Eagle River. Kids love it up there. I'd love to live up there one day. And I was just minding my own business, sitting on the dock, having a little adult beverage, watching the kids play and scream and trying to find some serenity. Just kind of, for those of you that fish, had a wacky worm on. A wacky worm is just basically it's a worm on a hook that you kind of jig around, and the worm just kind of flails around, all wacky-like. It was targeting a smallmouth bass when suddenly I caught a muskie. It was my first muskie ever, and I posted a picture of it in the group just because when you catch a muskie, it's kind of a big deal. I was just sitting there, I don't know, maybe I was doing it out loud, maybe I was, it seemed like the whole trip I was not catching much, and I was just talking to God, asking him, like, are you upset with me for some reason? It's kind of silly, but, you know, it's kind of how I feel sometimes when things aren't going your way. You sit back and you wonder, you ask yourself, is there something I need to change or something I need to do differently in my life? Well, I think he answered. And it was amazing. You know, even when you see someone around you catch a muskie, it's quite exciting because they call it it's like a prehistoric fish. It's a predatory fish, not one that you really eat, but they call it the fish of 10,000 casts because they're very elusive and difficult to catch. And rarely, well, I don't want to say rarely, but you see all these professional muskie fishermen and women on their super expensive boats with all their super expensive gear, and they spend days and days and days just going around the lake, casting at docks and all the specific places where muskie hang out, and you can go home empty-handed very easily. So to be gifted a muskie was, like I said, a gift for sure. One that I will not forget. We went out there a few years ago, and I think Liesl was pregnant with Peyton at the time. And I remember very clearly, we had 2 crabby kids on the boat, and that girl could fish 8 hours straight with a no pause. I was like, we need to go feed the kids. They're getting crabby, or they need a nap or something. And she was upset that we couldn't keep fishing. So I was like, well, I'll make it up to her. Got out the topography maps and started looking up fishing reports and all this stuff. And I said, all right, well, when you're ready, we're going to take the boat out. We're going to go to this one spot. I think this is going to be a good spot. And that's when she caught her first muskie. And she was over the moon. I was a little jealous, but at the same time, like I said, very exciting for anyone on the boat that catches a muskie, and just to be part of it is very special. So, of course, she had a photo for 2 years now in the living room of her holding her muskie that I looked at every day, and I said, geez, maybe one day. And it happened. You know, you take that trip up there, you spend all that money and time and effort, and of course, you know, just seeing the kids have fun is worth it. But you catch a muskie, that pretty much makes the entire trip beyond worth it. Sorry if I'm boring you with my fishing stories, but I know a lot of you either fish or have husbands that fish, and I saw a ton of comments. And there's one lady that said that her husband's fished for years and still hasn't caught one. So you kind of understand the gravity of how rare it is. It's super cool. So of course I want to get it back up there as soon as possible. I can't wait till Peyton's a little bit older. It was, he's at that age now where, you know, he's walking, he's running, but he's still kind of clumsy. He wants to be independent, but he's super clingy. And as much as I don't want him to grow up, it'll be a little bit of a relief. Okay, so here we go again on this side, same thing. Just want to make sure we match that up with the little cutouts, okay? So we'll flip this over and apply our glue. So you can see here that we're on the home stretch. We also have a little envelope that we need to put together for this card as well. Okay, it kind of would help to open it up a little bit. Make sure it's nice and flat on that side there. Also straight. And then you can literally just pop it down flat like this and press down to make sure that gets a good hold, just like that. Okay, there we go. And push it down like this as well. And there she is. Okay, all right, let's take a look at our main little caption here as well. So we tried to layer this to make it as easy as possible. And we have a few little elements that need to go on there as well. So we're going to start with the back layer on the back, and then find the glitter layer with nothing cut into it. And that's going to go right on top of the black. And this we're going to actually, I think we're going to do some foam squares on this to give it a little dimension. I think you could glue it down flat if you want, but we're going to go and add some additional dimension to this part. Okay, so pop that right on there as accurately as you can. Just like that. Press that down. There's our little snowman. Let me get this more in frame for you. There we go. Okay, next, find your red piece, and that's going to go on next. Now, of course, we've got cardstock going on glitter, so we're going to want to just kind of sit back and chill a little bit while it sets. Not as bad as foil, but you can see there's a couple little wonky cuts at the bottom, and that's for the caption. So you don't have to piece all those little letters separately. Okay, line that up like so. Just like that. Press that down. I might need to put a little extra glue over there by that star on top of the tree, but maybe not. We'll see. Okay, there we go. And then this is going to go on top. You can see we've, if you want to do a print and cut on this element, you can, but for those that don't have it, that's why we include a cutout version of the caption, and I think it looks nicer, personally. I know that, I feel like at this point in time, we could probably start including more print and cut elements. Excuse me, fly. We got a hair on there, all kinds of stuff going wonky here. Whoops, way too much glue. Try to get a little bit of glue on these little thin areas of the caption so that they don't rip. Just like that. A lot going on here, a lot of surface area to cover, so just do your best. We can always clean it up later if we need to. Okay, and this glitter is a little flimsy, so it might help to use your surface if needed. There we go, almost has a mind of its own. Just press that into place. I can see there's one little area there where I'm going to need to probably use my little painting method to get it to stick, but maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, look at that. Well, that worked out nicely. Okay, let's get our tree in place. And of course, we've got cardstock going on glitter. So that's going to be fun. Line that up as accurately. Yep, there you go, see? It's so rough and textured that sometimes it's hard for the cardstock to stick, but it will. I would flip it over too and just kind of let gravity do some of the work. By the way, while we're here, there should be, I'm missing a piece, missing a big piece for that matter. Oh, here it is. This little guy here, this is your insert for the inside of the card. Okay, and that's just going to get glued right in there with a nice even border all the way around. I don't need to do that just yet. I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to finish up this part of it. Okay, our tree has a gold star. So just a little dot of glue on there. Get that nice and centered on the tree. Just like that. Let's put on the next layer of Frosty's hat. And that again is going on glitter, so take your time. Get it lined up nicely, as accurately as you can. There we go. And we have a little gold band. It's going to kind of arc down or curve downward. Just put a little dot of glue on that. And that's going to go right above the brim of the hat. Like that. And don't forget his nose. Just a tiny little dot. That's going to pop right in there like a little puzzle. Just like that. Okay. Beautiful. All right, cool. So now with this part here, we're going to want to foam square this to the front, just to kind of create a little bit of separation from that front door. And you're only going to want to put foam squares here. And if you want, depending on how thick the foam squares were that you used on the front door, you might want to double up these foam squares and make it 2 layers. And it all depends on the thickness of your foam squares. Let me see how this looks with just the 1 layer. Of course, just want to line this up flush at the bottom. Yeah, I'm going to go 2 layers. So just stack them. That's going to give it a real nice look. And I guess another reason why we wanted to add a few extra layers on this piece is so that your tree and your Frosty don't start sagging and bending. Okay, get that flush with the bottom. There we go, just like that. And there it is. Okay, so you can see how beautiful that looks. Folds nice and flat. You could mail it. no problem there. And let's just get this piece inside here. Throw a little bit of glue around the perimeter. This is the part here too, which is nice. You can take into your software, and if you want to use your pen tool to write your little sentiment, you can do that. Of course, you've got room for stamping as well, or you can just handwrite it, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Okay, so that's going to go in there again. Nice even border all the way around. Okay. That'll also kind of thicken up the back so that it stands up better for you. All right, so that's the card. You can see that from this direction here. Make sure it's nice and flat. There we go. And let's take a look at our envelope super quick. Okay, so here's our, obviously this envelope had to be a little bit bigger because of the size of the card. And I'm going to take and use my bone folder. It's actually like a vinyl scraper, and just hit these tabs a little bit more so they sit more flat. And then we're going to take this piece, and let's start by connecting it at the bottom first. I always seem to get warping on this part. I don't know why. Try to avoid that. Take it and line it up nice and centered, flush with the bottom. Make sure it's good and centered. There we go. Press that down. Okay. And then you can flip this open. We'll apply glue to the other two tabs and then just close it up. Since we had it aligned with the bottom, shouldn't really have to do much to get it aligned with the rest of it. I would take that glue though and spread it out to the very edge so you have nice crisp edges. Go ahead and close it up. Line that up and press down. Just run your fingers along the very edge. If you have a brayer, that could work too. Just get that pressure on there. Okay. Make sure that's all holding for you. Looks good. Looks good. Yeah, you know, for this envelope, maybe 100-pound would be better. I might start doing that. I know it's a little more expensive, but I feel like it would protect it more. Okay, there we go. And then, of course, we've got this little piece, and that's going to go right inside like so. So what I want you to do is actually throw a little bit of glue around these little berries, and then on this, yep, we're just going to take and apply glue around the perimeter, trying to avoid the berries in the center, like so. And then just get that nice and centered on the top flap, even border all the way around so it looks nice and polished from the inside. If you're off a smidge, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. Okay, and you can see there. And then we have these two little holly leaves, and those are going to go out this way like this. You can see there's little markers there to help you with the positioning. I'm just going to add a few little dots and pop that right in there. Get the tip on the other side like so. Grab your other one and put the finishing touch on this beautiful card. Okay, there we go, and voila. There it is. I'm not going to put it in there. I want the card to dry completely, but you can see plenty of room for it to fit. And bring those shutters out just a tiny bit. There it is, ready to go. So that's going to do it. Don't forget to kind of take a look and see what it looks like when you put a little tea light in there. It'll give it a nice warm glow, and that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. There's also a little bell that gives you notifications anytime we release a new project. And if you make this or anything from our new Christmas cards, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find myself and over 46,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So hope you had a blast. And as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.